here at Silverstone for the Silverstone Classic. Now this video is going to be a little bit different. I'm not driving anything, unfortunately. I wish I was. Brabham aren't here, but this is a really cool event. Not just because of the classic cars that are here, but these guys are flat out in these classic cars. And I've also been walking around and found some cool cars that Dad drove, that I've driven, and that Jack drove. So we'll go and find those a bit later. In the meantime, have a look. So what I found here is, this is a 2010 version, but this is the same chassis as Dad won the 2009 Le Mans 24 Hours in, the Peugeot 908. This is the number 7. See, Dad won it with the 2009 car with the number 9. But I mean, look at this car. I mean, I can't quite believe it. It's the first time I've seen it up close for a number of years now. Except look at the cockpit here. I mean, it's so tight. There's so many buttons and knobs, and seating position is really good. And you can see, I mean, the viewing area is not exactly large, is it? With all this space in here. It's a really special car. You've got the engine covers off at the moment, and I've got such distinct fond memories of being at Le Mans in 2009 with Peugeot, and obviously to see Dad take this top step was a moment I'll never forget, and hopefully I'll get to share it with him in the future, you know. And these cars were so good. They took the fight to Audi, and Audi were so dominant for so many years, and Peugeot put a lot of effort, a lot of time and effort into beating them. And with the 908, they got it right. And the year that Dad won, he said to me, he said they actually worked on not necessarily being the quickest, but getting to the end. And that was a really important factor in why they won, because the other two cars were flat out. They were sort of damaging the front splitters, and they had to change front ends. You see the clips just in here. They can take off, and they'd have to change front ends quite a lot, which cost them time in the pits. Whereas Dad's car, they made a conscious decision that they would actually not take their time, is probably the wrong word to say, but they would be slightly more conservative in the way they drove over curbings and stuff like that, and shave off maybe a couple of tenths a lap. But actually in the long run, it benefited them because they ended up winning. And I'll never forget the moment I saw Dad on that top step winning overall. The emotion for everyone was just unbelievable. And for Peugeot as well to have won it for the first time in a long time. And what not a lot of other people know is that actually Jeff, my uncle, was the last winner in a Peugeot, and then Dad won it in 2009, and there was no Peugeot wins since. So that was it's pretty cool for the family to have 2 Peugeot wins at Le Mans overall, and it's such a stunning looking car as well. I absolutely love it. So we have a 1964 Repco Brabham. The car was actually built in 64 and raced in 65. And if you look here, got Jack, Dan Gurney, obviously famous for the Gurney flap and the incredible cars that he he built. Denny Holmes, the 1967 world champion, and it's such an incredible vehicle. Again, similar to the Cooper, the tyres are so thin. The contact patch is so small, and means that the grip that is available to you isn't as much as you'd like. So you've got the team working on the car now. Show you the dials here, and it's so bare. You see how it all gets put together. It's just a shell and a frame. You know, it's not no safety involved here. Got the engine. This one actually, the engine changed because it went to South Africa and they didn't have any Repco engines at the time, so they used an old Cooper Climax, which was sort of the engines that Brabham and Jack were used to racing. Now, the man over here who's working on the car just told me this is the exact car that won the 1965 South African Grand Prix. Like, you know, the history involved in this is just incredible. And as I walk around and you see the names on the side of this car, it's quite surreal really to see that Jack did so many things with some great drivers like Dan Gurney, Denny Holman, obviously throughout history, many world champions for Brabham. But it's a very special car. It's a stunning looking car. So the bodywork's slightly off at the moment, but it was really important, this sort of era where they moved the engines to the rear. A lot of cars, as you can see with this one, front engined and worked their way to the back, and it made the cars a lot more nimble having the engine in the rear. They were able to actually get more lap time. They weren't as quick in a straight line, but what they were able to do with the chassis and the suspension and all these other things was really important to creating Grand Prix victories. And it hasn't changed since. You know, Grand Prix cars ever since that moment have all had their engines in the rear, and it's exactly the same today. So that's the end of another video. I've had an incredible time at the Silverstone Classic. I've only really shown a small segment of what this event really is about. There's so much to do, and I was even surprised at how much there really is. So if you haven't, like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers.